Okay, but I can hear you, so we'll roll with this.
You can hear me, but I sound like Charlie Brown.
A little bit. It's a little one. It's like not the best.
Okay. All right. It's all good. Um,
How about my mic? Is it terrible? Because
no,
I
you sound great. I mean, every now and then there's a little like, internet, like, you know how it is.
yeah.
I'm not looking for perfect sound here. We've got a thunderstorm going on, and I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, and there's a thunderstorm happening right now. So that's fun.
I mean, we need one actually. I'll be honest.
So
Okay,
where are you right now? Tell me where you are in the world.
I am in Catalonia, about an hour and a half south of Barcelona.
Wow. And you do this every year for how
Oh
long?
no, we live here. We live here.
You live there.
Yeah, I've lived here for 13 years now.
How do I not know this from all the essays of yours that
I
I've
don't know. I haven't read the cultural ones.
I must be attracted to the essays that are about,
Probably. I mean, I was looking through yours right now too, and I was like, oh, I have a weird trend that I actually prefer the ones that didn't get a lot of traction. Like
uh-huh.
the lower count ones, I'm like, I wonder what this is. I don't know. I vibe with those ones better, I guess.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I knew that you were there, and I just thought that it was like something that you do
Oh,
regularly.
like just traveling. No.
Yeah, like it's like your usual spot that you go to every year for a certain amount of time. People might assume that I live in my Airstream, because I'm in
Oh
it,
yeah, that's true.
right?
For a while, I
But
did think that. I thought, okay, maybe he's a little off grid.
yeah, but no, I live in this house in Raleigh, but I'm in the Airstream a lot, so you know,
Do you still live in the house that you wrote about?
yeah,
Okay, all right, that's cool.
yeah, that very one that I moved into the hood.
Hey, it's not all that bad. I
No,
live
it ain't.
in a very small village. It's about 7,000 people, very rural.
But hey, well, before we go too much further, I want to thank you for coming and doing this thing. It's like a total experiment. And this is so interesting, like to meet another writer.
Yeah,
It's like there's no content. Like the only way we know each other is through the words that we're putting out into the world. We don't necessarily get to hear each other's voice or see, what we look like, and
yeah.
it's just I don't know. I find this whole thing fascinating.
I kind of think the community is one of the best I've ever found online. I mean, deep thinkers and like, whoa, okay. Because I just stumbled into it. It's really funny how I started writing for myself. I've been
Mhm.
a freelance writer for 10 plus years in functional nutrition. So I have a lot of like science research history. And then I started seeing an art therapist probably 4 years ago. And so we were doing art together, and she kept saying to me, self-authorship is like crucial. You are author in every medium. And then she'd be like, what medium do you prefer? What medium do you prefer? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. And finally I said, okay, I prefer words, but I've never really thought about putting my stuff out there. And she said, it's going to be like crucial for you to make the leaps that you want to make. And so I showed up on Medium just very, very haphazardly, like throwing words at a screen. And then I started, I don't know, my thoughts started forming better. And I started feeling like, oh, actually I have something to say. And
Mhm.
then now it's like, okay, I have a lot to say.
Mhm.
Everybody here does too. And I don't know if you've had this experience, but I call it piggybacking ideas. So like I read one thing of yours and then I'm like, oh, this makes me like totally see this whole new thing. And then I'll go into my drafts and write, one like idea sentence. And then I come back to my drafts later. I'm like, what was I even, where was I rolling with this? I think I'm up to like 300 plus just draft starters. So it's very good for like sparking ideas.
Yeah, I do. I have that. I don't think I have quite 300, but I've got well north of 100. But yeah, I read something that you've written. I read something that there's a few authors that I think that we just love out there, and they spark ideas. What's been happening more lately, which I find even cooler, is when I feel like we're vibing on a topic and didn't know about it. So like I had just hit the submit button to my latest piece, which is about um, it. It's about my fear of abandonment and
Okay.
how that impacted my life. And then I read one of your most recent pieces. Again, it's about your daughters and I,
The loneliness one, maybe.
yeah, the loneliness
Yeah.
one. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I have
And
some very unpopular opinions, but I'm trying to, I think that they should be popularized. Because I really see some like, honestly, some serious changes that are alarming to me.
mhm,
One is this guise of protectionism, and
mhm.
I firmly believe that to be self-agent is the most protective. And so you have to have trust. People have to have exhibited trust in you.
Yeah,
And it's just crucial for me. Like
yeah.
I can't say it enough in enough different ways. And I have like 300 sources compiled on this topic. And it's like, should I write a book? Like I'm like, should I tiptoe into just throw my whole idea? Because I have solutions as well
Uh-huh.
that I'd love to just postulate some ideas, like maybe this would be a better way forward,
Hmm.
kind of a little, not utopian, not dystopian either, but just really a little out there for people right now. But I really think that they would be critically impactful.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, so the way that, you're writing about, the loneliness, but you're talking about like the way that a parent puts this like protection and puts their fears into a child, right?
Hmm.
And I'm writing about having a mom who put her fears into me.
Yes.
And like I, the comment, there's a note that I put on your essay, which is something to the effect of like, oh my God, I'm so glad I read this
Hmm.
after I just published my last piece or submitted my last piece because I felt like, so sometimes I want to read something or I read something, I get this nugget of like, ooh, I think this inspires me to write something, but it's also so cool to write something and then read something that just is in perfect
Aligned.
harmony with it. And I can't help but think that's because of the community, right? Like we've been reading.
I think I agree with that. Like I feel like we've formed a bit of a collective consciousness.
Yeah.
I'm often the same way. Like I'm attracted and I'm like, I just said something like this. I just wrote a different angle. And I think that's actually very powerful though, because it feels much more collective. Like, oh, I'm not actually alone out here in these thoughts and ideas. There are other people who are thinking them, whether you're on the construction side or the deconstruction side. um Self-agency and authorship is just critical. It's
Yeah.
just I was looking at your, I don't know if we want to start with my essay, but I was looking at your question. Hang on, let me find it. um and really thinking about it. Has parenting helped you reclaim any agency lost earlier in life? I was really thinking about this because I don't actually think I ever really lost a sense of agency, but I
Mm.
think that I was excluded, excommunicated, and exiled because I did not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was 100% very authentic. And it, as a child, it presented in, like, I've written a piece that I feel like it built a bit of self-righteousness as a coping
Mm-hmm.
mechanism, because when you have a phobia and you are very confident in what you are experiencing and you are trying to communicate that every single day to
Mm-hmm.
people who are telling you you have to go into the classroom, and I'm telling them I am terrified in the classroom every single day, you grow a really firm, you either bend to their will or you stand in your resolve. And I chose to do that. And I think it's because I might be very neurodivergent about this, but I have never wavered off intrinsic worth, intrinsic value. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I come from the sacred. I don't care what anybody else wants to say. And this is the iteration of the sacred that I'm inhabiting right now, and I extend that to everybody. So when somebody tries to say you have to do X or Y, it doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well. I would say I'm a little anarcho libertarian. If I had to, like, say my political leanings, I'm a little like, I don't want any of it anymore. None of them speak for me. None of them. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure they ever will. And I know that that can walk into, like, dangerous territory. It can literally walk into where you're saying, because I don't know, I have not collected my thoughts around this. I've tried to figure out what exactly am I saying with politics, because I don't jive. I don't jive with authority at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I will go off. No,
Go. Yeah.
one of the things specifically is, if an authority is saying you should act this way and they do not act that way, I will not stand for hypocrisy. And show me a leader that that has not been massively hypocritical on a global stage, and I won't participate. I find it violent to participate.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you not participate? I'm mandated to participate. I haven't
Yeah.
figured out the way to, like, sever the need to participate.
Yeah. I think what's so apparent in your writing is not that it's figured out, but that it's a question that you keep coming back to, right?
Mm,
And I appreciate it. I especially appreciate it when you start to get into that that leader being a parent,
mm,
right? And you know that that parent has all of this authority over kids,
mm.
and and then those kids, do they just fall in line or do they rebel against it?
So
And yeah.
frame it ever as authority, though. So somebody asked, well, what will you do when your kids rebel? And I said, they can never rebel against me because I'm not their authority. Like, I'm staunchly not their authority. I am a caregiver. It
Mm-hmm.
is a sacrificial role of selfhood. I am sacrificing some amount of selfhood to ca- extend care to them. And I think it's really, really weird because I just believe they're born into themselves, not into me. They were born into my life. But it felt very purposeful. This is my, there's a purpose that I'm here for. To I don't even like guide. I really resist guide even.
Mm.
I am making space that is safe. It doesn't mean that they're completely freewheeling, but I deal a lot with more with natural consequences than anything. So my girls are 11 and 7,
Mm-hmm.
and, like, we have a bedtime, but this is mutually agreed upon, and it is for me and my partner to have some time to work, and because we both work from home, we homeschool, so they're around a lot, but they're free to do what they want in their space. And if they wake up, they have various things that they need to do, but if they've chosen to stay awake and they're tired, that's the natural consequence. They don't get
Mm-hmm.
out of doing it, but it's not very authoritative. It's like, well, you can choose better. or better, I don't even like that, but you can make a choice and then you can take
Yeah.
the consequences of those choices.
Yeah. Yeah. I see. I mean, I can see that you are struggling with what word to use.
Oh, the vocab is so bad for me.
But it's okay, like and we'll get to you reading this essay however you want to do it, by the way. I mean, you can like read the whole thing. Um
Read the whole thing.
yeah, I you know the so gosh, I'll just let you know, like the reason why I decided to do this whole thing is because I think that we do have a message, right? And I
Hmm.
think we do vibe with that message inside of our, medium community.
Hmm.
Um, but when my massage therapist is like, I would love your voice and I want to hear what you have to say, but I don't read. Like I want to just do this while I'm washing the dishes. And then my son, who's very he's very honest with me. So he'll tell me like that this is a stupid idea. And he's like, what's the max amount of people you can possibly reach in Medium? And I'm like, I got 700 subscribers now, and like the max out there is like 20,000. I don't know. When I see somebody who's like blowing it up, they've got 20,000 subscribers. And he's like, Dad, that's nothing. Like if you have a message, and I think you do, then you need to put yourself in a different medium. And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do this. I don't have the time or the energy to be like splicing together a fancy podcast, right? But so I'm gonna get out here and I'm just gonna read this stuff. And then I thought, well, there's people out there with a voice who has something to share. And maybe this authbition is just a way to say, hey, there's other mediums out there that you might not see or get exposed to on the regular, but it gives you an opportunity to read this essay and have ears hear it that might have otherwise never read it, right? And even if it's just one person listens to it that would have never read it, then we've extended your voice further. Um, and so the words that you say when you first shared this story with me and I read it, like the first thing that came to my mind was chapter 10 from the Tao Te Ching. And I think like um I'm not going to read the whole Tao Te Ching right now, but there's this one line, can you love people and lead them without imposing your will? And it's using language. I mean, it's impossible to write without words. Uh, but yeah, but one of the things I love about the Tao Te Ching is it's like the whole thing is this tension where there are really no words to describe what it's trying to say, and so it keeps on speaking in all of these metaphors to
Something I
provide a feeling, right? And yeah, and it's like the whatever you did in I'm not here to shape her. Whatever you did in there is like the same thing that chapter 10 of the Tao Te Ching did. And whatever maybe some song that we get to hear on the radio sort of evokes this feeling that's impossible to put words to. So even though it comes in the form of even though that song has words, and even though the Tao Te Ching has words, and even though your essay has words, it's like the feeling that it gives is so much about this agency that you are giving to the next generation. And that is so much about what this whole thing is about, is giving agency to the next generation. Um, so I don't know. Maybe this is a good time for you to go ahead and read it.
I feel very similarly though that we're trying to find words to explain really, really deep feelings and emotions that it just doesn't, not words don't rise to the occasion. And I have felt this way my whole life. Words just don't And I love words. I love playing with words. I love trying to make words rise to the occasion, but sometimes they just it's not even that they don't, it's that there's just so many iterations that can say the same or similar things. What resonates with somebody, I'm not sure,
Mhm.
or why some one author would choose to put it one way and another way. I'm not sure. I'll go ahead and read. Okay, my essay is titled "I'm Not Here to Shape Her, Trusting Her Journey Instead of Leading It." I became a mother in a very rock bottom moment, a complete shattering of self. Honestly, it was a moment of huge disgrace, not at all what I'd envisioned, and it became a willful act to fill every overexposed crack with grace. That grace has been transformative. When I first held my daughter, I wasn't exactly overwhelmed with love. It sounds harsher than it was. I felt bonded, but not to her exactly, to something deeper, purpose. I remember soaking her in, pink skin, calm and quiet, eyes moving slowly and intentionally, softly blinking, adjusting to the light. My thoughts, I'm here, I'm yours, let's see where life takes us. It was a startling clarity, not the warm, soft, expansive love I'd expected. I've heard other mothers describe their experiences, and they don't entirely resonate with me. My moment was purposeful, and I was overwhelmed with the job ahead of me. But when I care deeply about something, when it becomes my purpose, it is guaranteed to get my attention, dedication, and love. So maybe it was love, just in a form I hadn't understood quite so fully. My feelings with my second daughter, despite very different circumstances, much the same. Here I will speak of her, not them, because I want each of them to hear it as if it's meant only for her, because it is. My love and intent, these aren't collective. They're personal, singular. Each of them deserves to be the only one I'm speaking to, even in the same breath. I thought parenting was about being a guide, but as she grows, I grow alongside her and I understand my motherhood differently. I'm not guide, I'm witness. I'm not authority, I'm audience. At times, I'm kind of ill prepared stagehand, fumbling with the lights behind the curtain, hoping she finds her mark. For as long as I can remember, I've been fixated on agency. I see it everywhere, how people use it, deny it, take it, protect it. I notice when it's being taken or being reclaimed. I saw it in my daughters early on. I think my oldest was just shy of 3 when I saw her furiously trying to put on a shirt backwards. It was this little white graphic t-shirt with a chimp wearing green glasses. Let me help, I said too quickly. No, she replied, voice trembling but fierce. I do it. I froze, not because she was defiant, but because she was right. It was hers to do, her body, her moment, her struggle. I crouched down next to her and watched her wrestle with getting her little arms through those sleeves. She grunted and got frustrated, and I had to resist the urge to fix it for her. Eventually, that shirt was on, backwards and wrong side out, the tag showing just beneath her chin, a monkey on her back. She was beaming. That smile wasn't about the shirt at all. It was about trying, doing, the self. We went out to the cafe to get a coffee and an orange juice, tag still visible, chimp still grinning at her back, no less than a dozen people telling me about the wrongness of her shirt, and me consumed with the rightness of the moment. A tiny declaration of autonomy and a validation of her doing it for herself. When was the last time you let your child struggle through something hard, even when you could have made it easier? I've seen the opposite happen too. Recently, I watched my friend's 2-year-old struggle to get her pair of Crocs on, right on the left on the right. She stood up, grinning, and immediately her mom says, "You've got your shoes on the wrong feet. They'll hurt you if they're on the wrong feet. You'll trip if you don't switch your shoes." She then proceeded to physically swap them for her. It was jarring. Would her daughter not be able to say if the shoes became uncomfortable? At 2, that trip and fall is likely happening with shoes on right feet as often as shoes on wrong feet. It made me uncomfortable. My youngest daughter, there's a picture in my essay, my youngest daughter's selfie of her own 3-year-old feet taken with beaming pride mind, and her shoes are on the wrong feet. Before our wrong shoed outing, one of many, we did mention that her shoes were on the opposite feet than where people usually prefer to wear them, and she made it very clear that they were just as she'd like them to be. Enter natural consequences. Maybe we'll have to stop on our way down the road to swap them. She might experience mild discomfort and us mild inconvenience. It's strange, really, to feel that my most important job is not to teach, but to stay out of the way. To let her know every day, if I can, that she's allowed to be herself, that she doesn't need to match me, follow me, or make me proud. She only needs to know that the space to herself is wide open and is hers to explore, even when it scares me. Sometimes I think about death in a practical way. If I were gone tomorrow, I'd want her to know that her life is hers, that she doesn't owe me anything, that I was here to walk beside her, not to steer her path, that if I ever seemed controlling or critical or afraid, it wasn't because I didn't trust her. It was because I hadn't yet learned how to trust the unknown. I'm a work in progress too, my own evolution. I knew I didn't want to be a mom who tells my child who to be. I wanted to be the kind of mom who simply reflects back, you're already someone, let's find out who. It's a strange thing to love someone so completely and yet to know that love can't lead, it has to follow. Some days that waiting is more difficult than other days, but always I return to the same promise, I will not shape her. I'm struck with one thing, my parenting, my vulnerability, it's not really about me at all. I'm not building something in my children. I'm protecting the space where she builds herself. Living by a singular truth, only she knows who she is. I was aware of this truth very young, the result of having an intense and debilitating phobia that no one else understood. From that truth, it's obvious that my job isn't to show her. How could I know it better than her? It's my job to let her know that it's hers to find, hers and hers alone to find. Trusting her agency doesn't mean stepping back entirely, it means stepping in differently. I do give guidance, but I try to make sure it's grounded in consent, respect, and context. When she struggles to navigate a friendship, we talk through what boundaries can look like. When she wants to learn to cook, I show her the stove, the knives, the safest ways to experiment. I've seen agency lead to incredible things. One found her rhythm by setting her own morning routine. She's intentional and centers herself in creation, making art 50% of her waking life. My other is daring and unafraid, but also shy. She's feeling out how to navigate that dichotomy using communication to set the right boundaries for her. Agency doesn't mean isolation, it means support with room to try, fail, and learn. My job isn't to remove risk, but to stand nearby and help her learn to navigate it. Can you remember a moment when your agency was honored as a child? I can, and it meant something to me. For me, parenting isn't a performance or a test. It's not a matter of age or timing or preparation, financial or otherwise. It's a relationship, a becoming. Of course, my daughters are still young. I know this approach will keep evolving as she does. I won't always get it right. I already haven't, but I keep learning from her, from my own reflection, and from my mistakes. I'm parenting from a place of growth, not perfection. I hold the same space for myself that I hold for her. Sometimes it's pure joy to witness her becoming, and sometimes it's fear that I might get in the way. I don't know how long I'll be a mother in the physical sense, but I know that if my girls find themselves, if they each know that she belongs to herself, that she's not someone's reflection, project, or shadow, I'll feel like I did something right. And if she ever wonders where to go next, I hope I've shown her the answers inside her.
Oh my God, so good. And I mean, they're so lucky to have you as a mom. I mean, gosh, it's inspiring. It's inspiring to me to know that your girls have you there as a resource, whatever, however you want to refer to it, as a resource. Um, so many good nuggets. I have so many questions for you. I'm trying to think which one to start with. It's the one that pops out is if love doesn't lead, then what does?
Yeah, that's the one that I really liked. So it's love is anyways very hard for me to define. And I feel that my love for her knowledge of herself has to follow behind that knowledge. So it can't pull her in any direction. My love can't be a force that that pulls her. And that's why I hate guide, because I'm not quite sure what I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that she couldn't communicate and say, hey, I need support and I need it to look like this. Then I would be there for her. And it's just this like essence that my love is not like a workhorse. It can't just
Mm-hmm.
pull her in one direction. She just has to find that. And my love will be permanently beside her. I just can't see a space where my love wouldn't exist there. I know that there are people who are obviously tried with very big tests, like somebody
Mm-hmm.
who might have an addict for a child. I am hoping, and it's just a hope, that the agency
Mm-hmm.
can help to prevent that unhappiness by really making her feel ownership in her own life. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's that easy. So my love would it just kind of, I don't even like follow. It's like permeating. It's just there. They can
Yeah.
access however they want it. It's always
You,
there. It's ever present.
Yeah, her agency, right? I mean, um, her drive leads. That's what I heard, like even just now as you talked about it, I heard that your love isn't leading them, but their own agency is leading them, like their own purpose, their own drive, their own intrinsic motivations, their own, like whatever it is they w- want to do, like it's their own authentic selves that lead them, right? And so if we can maybe help them find it.
I'm not even sure. That's a good question, right? Because I think it's like that becomes a conversation with self. So I
Hmm.
do promote that because like I promote journaling and we are big artists. So I
Hmm.
already promote that idea that it's in there and maybe you can't even form self, right?
Hmm.
At various times of our life, we will not have a clear recognition or awareness of self. I just think that's the nature of identity. It kind of shifts and forms. And like when motherhood came, I'm not sure I make decisions though, right? I think other people say they feel like they make decisions. And I don't really feel that. I look at everything in the rearview mirror and go, well, I'm not sure I could explain why I did what I did. I'm not sure. I'm a very like energetic actor. I just flow with my energies. And I think that is I was diagnosed recently as being on the spectrum. I didn't know that I was on the spectrum. I feel like what it is the experts would tell me otherwise, but what I feel is that like I know I have a spatial awareness of
Hmm.
things that other people do not have a spatial awareness of. So if I explain things, I often lose the meaning that I'm trying to convey because like my my even here, my memory is geometric and it's very visual, it's very multisensorial, and it always happens. So, a lot of times with neurodivergence, you actually feel tired by suppressing that. So my natural energy goes really, really high and strong and fast, and it doesn't really think through things.
Hmm.
So if
Hmm.
I run on my natural vibration, then you'll see me most people will be like, why is she doing that? And even I will have to stop and go, well, I'm not really sure, but I have some guiding virtues. And people say that all the time, well, you're very virtuous, like they're not completely without an internal compass, but they're a little frenetic.
Yeah, I mean, can you think of something that you made me have a memory, right? You made me have a memory of um being being young and yep, old enough where I could be a babysitter. Not that I was really ever into babysitting, but old enough where I could, hold a child or hold a baby or change a diaper, and people trying to teach me how to do it. And
Yeah.
it was like useless. It was like you couldn't teach me how to change a diaper. You couldn't teach me how to hold a baby. Um, it was impossible. But then, um, you know, years go by, and here I am, and my daughter is being born, and like she, like when I took her into my arms, it was just like I automatically did all the pieces. Like I just held her the right way. They asked me, in the delivery room, like, do you want to put on her first diaper? And it was just like it just like I did it all perfectly, and
Like it clicks.
it just clicked, and it came from somewhere, it just came from something inside of me. And so I love what you said. I, I love how you described that what our core inner whatever we are, whoever we are that's driving us, our authentic selves, might be different people or different things at different times in our lives. I think that's what I heard you say, because I wouldn't have been
Hmm.
wouldn't have been in in high school and have any inner drive to change a diaper.
Yeah, interesting.
Right.
Although I bet if it had come to you, you would have,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Like, like actually
Yeah.
I think we like to, I personally think we infantilize, but actually if we look around and all of us are like, I don't know, it's like 50% of all of humanity has at least many teen parents in their lineage.
Yeah.
So like there's a legacy of of that being
Yeah.
us. And
Yeah.
so I'm assuming it clicked for them. I'm assuming they weren't all just like, completely clueless
Right. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
instinctual.
Yeah, sure. If that had come to me in high school, I think it would have come to me at that moment in time.
Yeah,
Um, but where we are in our lives and what we need to derive to lead, whatever it is we need to derive to lead is coming from
inside.
inside, right? That's what I'm hearing you say, and it's just, oh man, it's gosh, it's beautiful. I I don't know if I put it in the notes um of what, of course there was questions we posed out there. I can't remember if I put it in there.
Hmm.
Just re-listening to it, and I reread it before, like right before we met. I reread your essay, and there's something in there where you talk about, can you remember a time, from your own childhood when you were given agency, and what did it mean to you? And it meant something. You said, like, it meant something to
To
me.
me.
Um,
Hmm.
are you able to share that story?
Sure. I had the the best teacher at the best time for me. So my emetophobia was like it came on in third grade, and this was fifth grade. It was the first time. I mean, I've seen so many therapists to try to because it was debilitating. Like I didn't want to get in a vehicle. I mean, it probably had a lot to do with the neurodivergence, like me picking up a lot of sensory input that I wasn't able to parse, because as an adult I'm very aware that my sensory input is different, is divergent from what other people experience. But I she was my fifth grade teacher. I'm going to write an essay about her soon, but she did the first thing that she did was those back and forth journals. I know they have a name, but where every day you journal something to her and then every night she journals back to you. So she's in constant communication with you. And she was the very first person that really pushed agency and said, kids are not immune to bad things. They live with adults. They know bad things happen in the world. And the
Mhm.
only way that you can help them process that is to be in solidarity with that truth. It must be a truth. You cannot hide it all behind, away from the kids' eyes. You cannot protect the children. That's not protective.
Mhm.
So interestingly, she lived like 2 blocks from the school, and that year she took us on a field trip to her house, and we had milk and cookies. And um, I now, in reflection, see that as saying, "I'm part of your community. I'm just up the street. You can come to me because I know some of you are going through hard things." So I started telling her. I mean, I was just like a total blabbermouth, like still. And I would write tons, tons. And she told me, when you are overwhelmed in the classroom, you have my permission to go out into the hall. You can go to the bathroom. You can go to the drinking fountain. You can splash water on your face and you can return. And just having it, right? Just having her say, I give you freedom to leave this space when you need to, was just gold for me.
Yeah.
I didn't abuse it, right? Because
Mhm.
when you give kids agency, they love you for it because you're like, okay, finally, if I'm overwhelmed, because I mean, it would digress into panic. So if I'm panicked, the worst thing for me to do is be in a classroom. I can't sit still. I can't. So I would just take myself away. And she would, every time, she would just give a little smile, like, happy you rejoined. And and that's it. It was never made a big deal. I didn't have to like constantly say I'm frightened all the time. And it was really impactful, really, really impactful.
Oh my
But she
God.
listened to me.
Yeah,
She just listened to me.
that's such a great story. And I love how just giving you permission to leave l- made you stay more, right? You like felt more
Yes,
comfortable. You didn't have to
for
get up
sure.
and leave. Yeah. So,
Because I think that particular phobia is about not being able to escape. Like
mm,
there's a lot of agoraphobia tied to it. Like I'm going to be in a really bad situation and they're not going to tell me I can leave. And I
mhm,
really needed that. I really needed somebody to say, yes, you can tuck into the library. You can go somewhere. You can go to the nurse's office. You can go somewhere.
mm.
I mean, I wasn't going to run around. I was also very like, I think most children are, they want to, rise to the occasions that you've laid out in front of them. They don't want to, I don't think people are all that rebellious, to be honest. Like they want to, maybe if you're setting crazy expectations, maybe they'll rebel against that. But standard expectations, I don't see a lot of kids giving tons of resistance. But they
Mhm.
want to know that they have a little control of how to monitor themselves. I don't know. I don't know how I would say it, but yes, she
Yeah.
was so impactful.
Well, you describe it so well in the story with, like your daughter when she puts the shirt on backwards, like that. I, f- I don't know if everyone has seen it, but I would feel like a lot of people will have experience with a little kid who's like demanding to do something the way that they want to do it, right? I want to do
That's
this,
right.
and so whatever that agency is showing up at a very young age. I mean, gosh, I'm not the like psychologist here, but it's like kids want to go from crawling to walking. Like
Yes.
we don't need to teach them that.
Right. That's right.
You know?
There's a strong internal trajectory in our biology. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know why we decided to say there isn't. Like
Yeah.
for me, I don't necessarily like, well, I don't know. Biological determinism for me is like a collaborative look that we certainly should not discount our biology. But I mean, of course, that comes a lot through functional nutrition. My work in that is like you cannot discount your biology. If you wish to have a healthy life, you cannot discount it. It must be onboarded meaningfully. And
Yeah.
gosh, we're doing terrible job as a society on that.
Yeah.
That giving people agency over their own health. We have
Yeah.
so much information.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I hear you saying that, like I'm thinking about, a flower needs the sun, right? And it's like you just can't discount you can't just say, oh well, the flower doesn't need sun. I mean it absolutely has to have it, right? So
That's right. It has to have it.
part of the makeup of the flower is, and so we have, yeah, there are certain foods that I have to have pizza. Like if I don't have it, I'm gonna die.
Well, happiness does matter. So I have to admit I ate pizza today. So
Yeah, I bet your pizza was pretty good. Yeah,
questionable.
I want to make sure that I don't know when this whole thing's going to wrap up, but I just the message, your message is so incredibly meaningful, and I know that you talk about it as being, maybe a little bit anti-establishment or not the popular choice. I see it as like absolute mission critical, right? Like I don't know
Mhm.
like the way that I look at it is everybody's got every kid in like bubble wrap, and we're like, you know, we don't want anything to happen to them. And it's like, every great story, I'm like, it's just, it's I'm not here to shape her, and it's Finding Nemo.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like if nothing bad happens, then nothing happens. And
We say this one a lot. This is a quote in our household a lot. Like we just can't see. My partner is also rather neurodivergent, so we align very much on this. He actually unfortunately had a very different um parentage and
mhm,
they were very fearful of everything, and
mm,
it has lasting repercussions. I mean, he is
mhm,
having to do so much more deconstruction
mhm,
than, and it centers, the saddest thing to witness is that it centers around work.
mm, mm,
I don't know how to else to put that. It's there's a lack of worth, and
mm,
when people can't find meaning in their life, what is there? You
mhm.
know,
Yeah.
it really worries me.
Yeah, and the way, yeah, the just how extreme it is right now. I look at the job that my parents did, and I think they did the best that they could do at the time, given society wherever it was. And I was born in the 70s, early 70s. But looking back, I think, okay, everywhere that my parents gave me agency, and I can, we're memoirists, right? Like we write memoirs.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we have deep access to all of this stuff that happened in our lives. And as I look at it, it's every place that I was given agency is all of the best of me. Like
A
all,
100%. A
and
100%.
everywhere that they were terrified,
Hmm.
and you know, they were terrified of all sorts of things. I mean, it was like the era of the cult, and drink the Kool-Aid, and and they were terrified of all this stuff. And every place that they put their fears into me are the places. And what's funny? I see a grayscale. I see a place where they gave me total agency, and it's the best of me. I see a place where they succeeded in putting their fears into me. And
Hmm.
it's only now that I'm like digging them up and being like, holy shit, that had a major impact on me. And then I even see the middle spaces where I rebelled against it, where they were like trying to put a fear into me, and I was saying,
Hmm.
stop putting your fears into me. Like like that's your fear, not mine.
That's your thing.
Yeah, that's
So
you're afraid of
so
that, not me.
so with my phobia, I was called out and I actually found it extremely insightful. My 11-year-old, so there are some very bad safety behaviors that I exhibit, and it takes a lot to suppress them. They're very old and they just come rote.
Hmm.
And one of them is like, I don't love my children to overeat because then I will take on anxiety that, oh, they're eating too much or whatever. So one night she had eaten, I don't know, she was eating normal. And then her sister, who does not eat normal, chooses not to consume what everybody else is consuming, went to grab a yogurt, and she grabbed one for her sister. And I said something, are you hungry? Do you want to eat that? And I didn't, like, I don't hear my safety behaviors. And she looked right at me and she said, you will be nervous if I eat it, and you will be nervous if I say I don't want it. And I was like, but I really loved it because I said, and that's why you're agent.
Yeah.
That's why you're agent, because you're totally right. You cannot be dictated by my fear. My fear is crazy and
Hmm.
it has no sense. It is irrational. I
Hmm.
mean, that's when it's phobic level, it's literally irrational.
Hmm.
So I just loved that she said it, and I gave her the free reign. The choice is yours, and if you throw up, just like any other time, I can't prevent it and you can't prevent it. So I'm not going to fault you for it. It's just
Mhm.
a dialogue that my own voice has incorrectly with me. And
Mhm.
I really loved that she called me on it so that I could have that conversation. Yes, this is exactly why you are agent in charge, because you don't have to listen to my fear. Why would you listen to my fear? If it's
Mhm.
not your fear, your stomach should first of all be the guide.
Yeah.
Not me at all. So it
Yeah.
was just a very microcosm of this big world fears. I don't know. These ones are like, well, I don't know. Everybody should be afraid of
Yeah.
some of this stuff, but I don't see us doing anything about it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I just, well, I love that she called you out on it. The the extreme of it being like a phobia based fear.
mhm,
Um, there's fears like everybody's afraid of all sorts of things, from like mild
sure.
things to extreme things. And I love the acknowledgement of it, like maybe me having a conversation with my son about, like, hey, will you just like do me a favor and call me when he's fully grown. He's 22 years old, and I'm terrified every time he leaves the house because he's getting into a car and he's driving home.
Hmm.
Um, Now I'm not terrified right now, even though I have no idea what he's doing. He could be driving right now, right? But when he walks out the door, I'm very aware of the fact that he's in a car.
Interesting.
And I'm like, just, this is, and I'm just wide open to him. Like, hey, this is me. It's,
My stuff.
my fear.
This is
Like,
my stuff.
like just, throw me a bone and, shoot me a
So
text.
does he like to do it? Does he like to calm your fear? Like, is it at least a back and forth, or is it like
No,
Dad, I'll be fine.
yeah, he, he's an incredible young man. And I think, his behavior when he was like 16 or 17 is totally different than it is right now. I think right now, um, he would be happy to make fun of me. He'd be happy to send me a text and be like, I'm alive, like, and don't
You're like,
worry, Dad.
yes.
Like, like, don't worry, Dad, or did that scare you or something like that? Like he'll do stuff to like intentionally evoke my fear, but he'll do it out of a joke. He's really sweet. I think.
Oh gosh. They might do that to me. That's not gonna be good.
But yeah, at least, the conversations that I've had with him around all the things that scare the hell out of me. I just to be open and be like, hey, this is my fear. These are the things that I'm deathly afraid of. It doesn't mean that you need to be afraid of it. Um, and the things that are like frightening to some are fun to others, right?
Yes.
He was a big time baseball player, and one of the biggest things that I learned, I read this awesome book. It was called The Mental Game of Baseball, and he's playing baseball. And I was thinking about when I was a kid and how afraid I was to be at the plate and have everybody staring at me, to be out in the field
Mm.
and have everybody staring at me. And I thought that those kids that could do it, or those players that could do it, were like fearless. And upon reading the book, I'm like, no,
Definitely
they're not.
not.
They just like, well, this is the best part. Like, this is like the part that I'm afraid of is the part that they absolutely love, right? They're
Oh,
and you watch
interesting.
the way kids play, and they like play out the the biggest moment. You just like observe little kids, and they're speaking out loud, and I'm observing a little boy, so it's like, bottom of the ninth, two out, down by two, runners on base, like, and they're like playing out the scariest part of the game.
Hmm.
'Cause that's the funnest part of the
Fun
game.
of it. That's the fun
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, and then all the things that are fear, I started to get into this whole thing, like, what's fear? What's fun? Like, is
Hmm.
roller coaster fear or fun? Is scary movie fear
Yep.
or fun? Is talking on stage fear or fun? And what might be, what might be fear for me is fun for you, and fun for you is
Hmm.
fear for me. But it's, so long as we can have those conversations openly and not
And vulnerably, like what
vulnerably.
you're showing is that like I think parental vulnerability is important to share. I
Hmm.
have these fears, you
Hmm.
know. I have these fears. It doesn't need to limit you.
Hmm. Yeah.
Your knowledge of me being afraid of this doesn't have to limit you in any way. That's the agent.
Yeah.
You're empowering the agent and acknowledging that there, I mean, we're relational beings. They're in relationship to me, and I wish to be in relationship with them. So they're going to have their own set of fears, and if they need to call on me to help them manage them, I mean, there's really very little that people can do other than provide support. There's really very little that we can do when somebody's like, if somebody is having panic or just deep fear, there's very little that another person can do. It's all inside, and it's like, I like the sky meditation. It's a big storm, and it's
Hmm.
just got to flow on through. they
Hmm.
they probably can't will it away. They just have to sit with it. And
Hmm.
so I think that there's a level of our own vulnerability as humans that, and as parents, that we should show them. We should model the full scale so that they don't feel alone in their experience of an experience that is fairly universal. It comes through different sources, but it's a universal experience.
Yeah. Wow, that's beautiful. All right. I could talk to you all night. What time is it where you are right now?
It's 9:30 now.
Okay, so not too late. Not too
Not
late.
too late.
Um, so let's start to wrap this thing up. If it's like 20 years from now, and you could get a letter from your daughters about their experience, having you as a mom and growing up with this agency, what would you want to hear them say? What would you want to hear them tell you?
To be very honest, I hope that they don't need to reflect on my parentage so much, and that they can enjoy their life, because I feel like we all reflect because it failed us.
Hmm.
So I kind of wish that they sent home like postcards home of like, I'm doing this, I'm having fun. Like, I really hope that my parentage doesn't come in, or if it does, that it's very insightful. Like,
Uh-huh.
oh, I now have new awareness of what you were trying to do or what
Uh-huh.
you did effectively. But really, I hope that they don't need to come at me and be like, why did you choose? Why did you choose to do this? So I hope that they don't have to wrestle as much. That would be my hope.
Yeah, I love it. You know what I'm envisioning? It's like, okay, what would I want for my child to write to me, 20 years from now? It's like a postcard from the beach that says, "Hey, Dad, I'm having a great time."
But I seriously want to. Oh, I just made a new friend. Oh, I visited a new place. Yeah, I just want them to be able to trust themselves to lead a good life.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, it's been great.
And thanks for setting the stage for this. I really want to do more of this with more essayists who
Yeah, yeah, do more, and I'll watch.
I've
I'll
got
be
some.
silent observer.
Yes. Okay. Good. 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 Thank you so much, Abby. It was so good to meet you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for doing this with me. I appreciate you. And I said that like 5 times, but I can't say it enough times. So
Thank you.
have a wonderful
It was
evening.
it was so nice to meet you finally.
It was so nice to meet you too.
All right. Have a great the rest of your day.
Yeah,
I
we're
shall
going to a
put
concert.
myself to sleep soon.
I got a meeting and then a concert. The night's young. Okay.
Nice.
I'll see you
Bye.
later. Take care.
Okay. You too, Andrew. Bye.
Bye.